Let's see. Hey everybody. So for many of you, welcome to another episode of the Writers Playground. I've been doing this for about five or 6 years now, since about 2018. Might have been six. I'm not sure. It's been a number of years, and I used to do this every single day, but that got impractical after a few years. So now I do it about once a week, once every 2 weeks, when I can. As you probably saw, some of you saw, I'm switching to a new format where rather than just randomly pick people, which caused me sometimes to forget people that had asked me to read their books and not ever read them because I forgot or they were tossed aside or lost in the shuffle, is I'm doing a live hat draw a couple hours before when I can. And so the author's reading today, that I'm reading from today, including mine, which I, of course, am not part of the hat draw. I'm going to read mine every time first, are ones I drew from a hat. And so for those of you that have been part of my show before, or for those of you who like read their books, let me know. I will add you to the list, and you will be part of the hat draw. I will make sure that if your name is drawn, that you are not drawn on the next one, so that everybody gets a fair shake. I do give some priority to people that have recent releases to get, because when the book first comes out, that is the best time to really get their book out there. So if you have a release that just came out, I'm probably going to put you on the list to be drawn automatically. But for people that, hey, my book came out 2 months ago, I'd love to have it read, you will be on the list too, but you may not get first priority. That's kind of what I'm thinking of. Let me know if that's fair. This is something, the hat draw is something my wife came up with because I'm so disorganized sometimes, and this kind of gives it a little bit more of an air of fairness. Anyways, so first up, let me start with my book, The Hitmom. Real quick, I'm just going to show you the cover. It's on my phone. Just one moment. Oh, yes, I got you. No. Those of you who know me know I do that once in a while. Sorry, I got you so good. This is my cover of the Hitmom. This is my proof copy, as you can see. The actual copy is the same thing. It's just that if you look here on the back, you can see a girl here. That's my friend Nayeli, who's in the book. I use my friends as characters in my books, and usually they get whacked. They all get permission. But on the new cover, I made this one less faded. So that's the only difference. Other than that, it's still the same book with the same chapter art, which I drew all this. I drew the cover. I hand painted it with Microsoft Paint. This girl on the cover here is my friend Beth Hodgson, who's an author as well and a cosplayer. Her book series, The Spectrum of Magic, is amazing. I have all the books, all three. The first two. The third one's not out yet, but it's coming out, and I will get it. Anyways, the story is real quick. Without trying to be a spoiler alert, is she is a mom, a married mom of two, who basically loses everything in one day, and then after an incident in an alley, kills somebody in self-defense, and decides to take what she got from that encounter, and I'm not going to go into too many details, to become a professional hit person. And again, there's a lot more depth to it. This is just the very Reader's Digest version, so I'm not telling you everything that happens right off the bat. But basically, that is why this story is called The Hitmom, because she's like, I'm going to be a great hitman, or hitmom. That's kind of the dialogue, a little bit different. Anyway, so I'm going to go and start from this. This book came out on August 1st. And it's probably, I spent 5.5, 6 years writing it, and rewriting it. Just wanted to make sure this is the best book I could write. I really think this is my best work ever. I've got several good reviews, 4 5 stars and 1 4-star review. And you can see Jessica Lucci, who I'm reading from today as well, wrote the first part of it on the top. And again, I think it's a great book. I wish it had more reviews. Obviously, I'm going to put the link for it, and hopefully you guys will take the opportunity to check it out. Obviously, if you want to buy the Kindle or paperback, that'd be great. Obviously, I'm not going to plug my book too much. Here's the link. I'm putting it here. But if you do read it, a review is always welcome. I will try to provide reviews to the books I read today if I feel I've read enough of them to give a general insight. I can't promise anything, but I do my best. Anyway, so I'm going to go ahead and start here. Again, my book, The Hitmom. Before I start, just a reminder that if you are an author and want me to read from your book, this is something I do for free. There's no cost. There's no expectations. I don't ask for, what's it called? God, what's the term? When you When I do something and I expect something in return, there's none of that. No give and take. I just do it. So let me know if you want me to read your book, and I'll read it. And I don't expect any thing from you for it, because I do this for fun, and it also helps with my fear of public speaking. So, okay, so I'm just going to pick a chapter, and again, I read about 2 pages of every book, and that includes my own. Let's see. Okay, well, chapter 13, which is about 50 pages into the book. This is 2 pages, so this is perfect. Okay? Chapter 13. And then, by the way, the main character's name here is Chelsea McGovern. So if you hear the name Chelsea, that's the main character. And that person on the cover there is the first person she killed. Chelsea felt bile rise into her throat and resisted the instinct to flee the bedroom and vomit into the toilet, instead swallowing it back down. Still, vomit would probably smell better than the oozing brown smear dripping onto her bedroom floor. Matt's head had been frozen like a frightened mannequin, but he finally began to move his lips to speak. "Chelsea, what are you doing here?" Matt's voice trembled with anger. It was, she knew, the penultimate trapeze act of a guilty man. Undaunted, she shouted, "I am watching your niece shit on my side of the bed and trying not to lose my breakfast. What the hell are you doing here?" Andrea did not wait for Matt to answer. Instead, she turned towards him with eyes filled with outrage and hurt. "Your niece? What the hell is the matter with you?" She looked back at Chelsea. "Is that what she told you?" "Oh, I'm sorry. Is that what he told you?" Let's see. "Yes. This was how he explained the pictures on his phone and the occasional social media posts in Coronado." Chelsea turned to face Matt again. "I guess I was a bigger fool than you thought." Andrea, no longer wanting to be part of this melodrama, began to rise, but Matt shoved her back down onto the bed, saying sternly, "I am not done." Andrea slapped Matt across the face. Matt winced, but more because the girl's hands were covered with their own excrement, and some of it smeared on his lips, giving him a brown mustache. Chelsea laughed mockingly at her husband. "Hey, I guess it is true. Shit does splatter when you slap somebody." She turned towards Andrea and said, "Thanks for proving that point. Now please wash your hands and get out of here." Andrea tried to rise, but Matt pushed her down. "I said I'm not done with you, bitch." Andrea did not appreciate the physical force, nor the word bitch, and punctuated those feelings with a hard kick to Matt's groin. She followed that up by pushing him off the bed. Standing up, Andrea screamed at him, "Don't ever come near me again, you two-timing son of a bitch." She quickly grabbed her clothes and began towards the door, only to stop abruptly as she met Chelsea's withering gaze. "Chelsea, Matt told me that you two had split up months ago. I swear." "Your tiny ass just shit on my bed and floor. I don't need your mouth to do the same to my ears. Now just get out before I forget how to be nice." Andrea took the heavy hint and moved fearfully past Chelsea with her clothes under her arms, her body still smelling of excrement as she walked down the stairs. "I must have scared little Miss Donkey Punch. She went outside still nude." Matt shouted at her, "You couldn't show some human decency and let her wipe her ass or take a shower?" "Honey, I think the dirty Sanchez she just gave you is the least of your worries." Okay, and that was chapter 13. I hope you liked it. At this point, as you can probably guess, Chelsea came home and caught her husband in bed with another woman who he had claimed was his niece, and turns out it was a side girl. And obviously, they were doing a certain romantic act that is, well, not traditional, not judging. Anyways, again, this is the Hitmom. Hope you'll check it out. This is what I would call a crime fiction novel with a lot of dark humor, because I used to write dark comedy. We used to write comedy material for a few comedians, and a lot of it was dark. And some of the ones that did not make it into their acts ended up in this book. So anyways, I hope you enjoy it. Hope you'll check it out and give it a nice review, or just give it a review, period. And let's move on to the next one. And the next one is by Rue Volley, who is a USA Today best-selling author, a good friend of mine. I have read lots of her books. I have a lot of them too. And she has a new release that is book 2. Let me just pull the link up here. It is called The King of Blood and Bone, and it is book 2 of the series. Let me just get a copy here. It is book 2 of the the book 2 of the Shadow and Stone series. Let me post a link here for those of you who are interested. Also, please let me know if you guys are not hearing me at all. I think you guys should be able to hear me, but if there's any sound issues, let me know right away if you could. There's the book, and great cover. And again, Rue Volley is a USA Today best-selling author multiple times. She's a great writer and a good friend of mine. I highly recommend her work. And let's go ahead and get started here.
Every year, it's continuous, and for someone like Ronaldo who does it work.
Okay, let me make sure my voice isn't going bad. Okay, Chapter 1, The Kingdom of Stone. Unruly black locks brush against the delicate skin of a young boy, no older than 5 rotations of the summer's moon. He sits, unchaperoned at his mother's ornate vanity. It is carved from the tusk of an animal that no longer exists in this world. This gift had been handed down through each generation within his family as a reminder of their wealth and power. The animal was frivolously sacrificed to hold such things as lip stains and hairbrushes. The mighty beast had been hunted into extinction by those who share the boy's name, but the child is oblivious to the truth, never once showing aggression. The boy's bright blue eyes flicker with wonder. He gently caresses the pearl necklace in his hand, coveting his newfound treasure. He wishes he could hide it away, never to share it with others. He lifts it over his head, allowing it to drop against his smooth chest. He's chosen to wear one of his mother's many corsets, meant to hug the body and curve the waist. It is stiff in nature with silk fabric stretched tight over long slivers of bone. The material is soft to the touch, pale pink, beautiful. He tugs at it, wishing it would fit him like it does his mother. She is a beautiful creature, a true goddess in the eyes of a child. But he is too small, not yet growing into what he would one day become. It is assumed that he has inherited his mother's petite frame and gentle ways. Weak, as his father claimed on more than one occasion, when blackberry wine slurred his speech and heightened his emotions. The child hums to himself, oblivious to his surroundings. The sweet taste of bloodberries lingers on his tongue. He's used them to stain his lips bright red in color. The boy is happy in this moment, peaceful. His heart is filled with joy. He lifts his chin, momentarily bewitched by his own reflection. His eyes shift, allowing the blood moon to come into focus. He turns to stare at its wondrous beauty, taking in the sight of the heavenly body hovering in the night sky, its reflection now turning his bright blue eyes to blood red like that of the vampires who live to the north. A looming shadow fills the doorway to the chamber. "What have you done?" His innocent smile brightens his expression. He looks to his father, twisting the pearls in between his fingers. "I want it to be pretty." His father rushes in, striking him across the face without warning. The child lands hard on the stone floor. His palms ache. Surely they'll bruise. The man reaches in to wrap his fist around the pearl necklace. He lifts the boy so that his toes barely touch the ground. The child begins to desperately claw his father's hand. The necklace sits tight against his throat, stealing his breath. His heart beats like a war drum. The silver clasp rips across the back of his neck, cutting into his flesh. Then it breaks. The boy falls to the floor, filling his lungs with much-needed air. The pearls scatter in all directions. His angry father hovers over him like a living nightmare. He lifts his hand to strike the boy once again. Okay, so that is about 2.5 pages. Again, I just do 2 at a time, 2 to 3 at a time. And my voice is already starting to go, so I do have to cut this short. But this is The King of Blood and Bone, Book 2 of the Shadow and Stone series by USA Today best-selling author Rue Volley, who's a really good friend of mine. I swear by her writing. Yeah, I know, Tracy. It's the best I can do right now. Let me move this microphone a little bit closer to me. My wife works from home, and so that's her voice you're hearing in the background. So hopefully you guys can still hear me okay. Okay, so that, again, this is The King of Blood and Bone, Book 2 of the Shadow and Stone series by Rue Volley. Okay, and the next one, let me look on the list to see who's next. And Tracy Rowe, that is you. So I don't think I have a cover for yours because I think this book's not out yet. So I'm just going to read from the attachment. Guys, just 1 second, okay?
What do you need?
Sorry about that, guys. Just working with some sound issues here. Okay. So, Tracy, let's go ahead and get your book started. And I think you sent me yours as an email. Let me just pull up here.
So Harvard started like turning some of like his stuff.
Open it up. Okay, and this is called The Damned Saint by Tracy Rowe, and that's Tracy and Rowe. You can see her comment above, so you see that's hers. And let me go ahead and I will start reading it. Let me just pull it up here. Where'd it go? Just one moment. Okay, chapter 3. There was a serenity to the passing countryside that didn't meet Thomas's unseeing eyes. He made no note of the blue skies filled with high white clouds or the rolling hills. Only vaguely aware of the view from his train window, he sat with Elizabeth in the restaurant car. The rumble of the train's engine was the only sound to fill the silence between the two people as they sat opposite each other, observing nothing. They chugged on, moving inexorably towards England and home. With him only in body, Elizabeth's soul remained in Italy, still searching for a child that would hold her forever. Resentment radiated out from her, its message clear. She was his wife, and whether she wanted to or no, in all things she must obey. Thomas might take offense at the implied meaning behind her pointed glare if he were so inclined, but the game had gone on long enough, and he had grown tired of her intimation that he had ever treated her as anything other than an independent woman. He wouldn't point out that he had remained her ceaseless champion as he followed her from town to town in her vain quest to find a little boy who now had a name. He supposed it didn't matter that her pain was not only her own, that it struck him deeply too. Maltese, he asked her, if only to drown out the silence. She shook her head, no. Well, she had given him no choice, and he was resigned that she wouldn't absolve him now. He accepted that being right had won him nothing more than her taciturn muteness. That was a rite of marriage, he supposed, a situation he had endured many times, and would undoubtedly experience many more before the end. His bitterness lay now in her silent demand that he prove his love by sacrificing to her pointless obsession, something he was no longer willing to do. If she didn't know by now that he loved her, there was naught he could do to prove it. He briefly considered that perhaps he was being too harsh with her. Sorry, just needed that. He did understand the need that drove her. Indeed, if the situation were reversed, he might have pushed just as hard. Thomas shared her despair at the loss of their own child, and he understood all too well her need to find her son. But he wouldn't be accused of being uncaring. That he would not abide. Elizabeth! He reached out to her in a tone of conciliation. She looked up at him with blank eyes and noted the attempted appeasement in his voice. But she wouldn't be mollified. Instead, she rose from her seat and returned to their compartment, leaving him to the passing countryside in his growing frustrations. There's a chapter break here, and then this next part looks like it's a letter, so just letting you know it's going to be a little bit different. It's in italics, so. I mean, you guys can't see that, but. Dear Henry, I find myself plagued by a child I had no part in conceiving. Elizabeth will never let him go, and I am to sit by and wait as she decides whether to forgive me for wanting nothing more than to protect her. Is she lost to me forever? I don't know. There seems to be nothing I can do to make things right for her. I miss her terribly, but she has shut herself off to me once again. Would that I didn't care, but I fear I care too much. How do you do it, Henry? How have you in Adelaide found the secret for happiness that seems to elude us? I thought we had found it for a while, but always the past returns, casting a long shadow that we cannot escape. We make our way back by train and will be home, perhaps even as you are receiving this letter. 5 years has been too long to be away. I anticipate seeing you once again and renewing our friendship. My love to you all, your constant friend, Thomas. Okay, so that is about 2.5 pages. I'm going to put a bookmark in that one there. I'll read this again sometime soon. Again, this is Damned Saint, and that was chapter 3 by Tracy Rowe, sorry. And it's this book 2 of a 3-book series. The first book's called Blessed Sinner. I'm going to go ahead and copy that link into this read here. So this is her first book in the series. The second book is not out yet, so that's why I'm copying the first book, so you guys will at least see something to read there. Okay, and then the next one is by Dana De La Woods. And let me just pull the link up here. Oh, yeah, see, October 23rd. And let me see. And this book is called Twisted Tales from the Dark Side, the Devil's Playground. And she writes it under the pen name of L.T. James. So let me post this here. And what a creepy cover. And I mean that in a good way. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started here. Okay. Wow, this cool chapter art. Love it. Okay, so here we get started. Ricky Lawson and Eddie Crowley hit the road in their 1972 GMC short van loaded with the day's haul and 2 wire guys magnetic decals still affixed. They headed for the NY 79 East, I'm guessing that's New York, 79 East, to meet up with their buyer, unsure of the route. We should have checked out that place at Four Corners. I knew it'd be tons better. Didn't I say? Rick poked. Yeah, well, you can't win them all, Ricky. It ain't too late to turn back, man. Why can't I be the driver for once? Eddie was always the driver, so we could call all the shots on the houses they broke into. Ricky checked out neighborhoods like he was trick-or-treating, not like he was on a careful mission. That's awesome. You know the rules. Never 2 houses in one neighborhood. Eddie's calm demeanor, while effective, often put Ricky on the defensive. I'm too dog-tired to argue, so go where you want. A moment later, Ricky pulled the convenience store bag from below his feet and offered his friend a Slim Jim and a Yoo-Hoo. Ah, those bring back the days, Yoo-Hoos. And I still like Slim Jims now and then. Eddie only responded with a smirk. Ricky slept until the opening of AC/DC's Hell's Bells on the stereo. As a San Diego Padres fan, and Trevor Hoffman as their closer, and that was his entry music, I love Hell's Bells, obviously. Best song ever! Crank it up. No. Thunderstruck is a better AC/DC song, but Hell's Bells is pretty freaking awesome. Anyways, that's just me saying that. Eddie just kept driving. He was in the zone, and when he was in the zone, not much could distract him. Ricky reached for the volume knob to feed his rock fix. Eddie was patient and waited for the song to end before turning down the volume. I'm dead serious, Ricky. This is the last hurrah. Quitting now is not an option, man. The last couple of jobs alone got us 10 grand. We're just getting started. You know what they say, too much of a good thing. With all the shit we've been through, he's never happy. There must always be another notch higher. After we find the next town, we'll talk about it, okay? Eddie never got argumentative with him. Their tight friendship dated back to pre-K. Over the years, they found themselves in plenty of sticky situations, and Ricky always bailed them out. But now in their early 20s, it was time to grow up. The two have been motoring for almost 5 hours, including 3 pit stops. The radio frequency jolted from a tolerable static to right out of tune. Within seconds, the van's engine sputtered with backfire from the tailpipe. The headlights flickered on and off. It lost power, then regained it and lost it again. What the hell? Eddie said as he looked ahead for the closest exit from the highway. Look, we can get up there. Hurry before we break down, man. Ricky rarely panicked, but being stuck on the side of the 79 East at 11 o'clock at night was not ideal. Come on, Betsy, old girl. Don't quit on us now. Eddie's reasoning had gotten the van's cooperation in the past. She chugged and sputtered to the exit. Betsy was purring like a kitten after they got off the highway, like nothing ever went wrong. Eddie made a quick stop at a gas station where he checked their engine and scoped out their surroundings. He turned the engine back on, grabbed his trouble light, and plugged it into the portable power block. After he opened the hood, he went straight to checking the battery connections. He tested the wiring to the headlights by disconnecting and reconnecting and gave the wires a gentle wiggle to ensure that they were all attached. The wiring was in working order. As he stood there, he watched and listened to the engine while it ran, taking a drag from his cigarette. So, this is POS? Piece of shit. Finally kicked the bucket. Dude, I keep telling you, it's time to retire Betsy to the graveyard. Ricky loved making Betsy the butt of his Chevy and GMC jokes, as he was a lifelong Ford driver. Yeah, funny. Well, although you don't find it odd that she produced all that sputtering and resistance until we got until we got off the highway and landed in... Wait, I don't even know where we are. Manhattan, buddy. I've always wanted to come here. Look at them lights down the road. Ricky's eager tone was making him nervous. Ricky, my instincts are telling me we should leave this place right away. Let's go. Nah, let's just take a drive around and check the place out. Quit worrying. Recognizing that the time was already past midnight, Eddie agreed to search for a place to stay overnight and leave in the morning. Okay, wow. I really want to keep reading this because this is awesome. It's gripping. So far, every book I've read tonight has just really been awesome. I'm really excited about checking these out further. Dana, wow. Really good reading there. Really good writing. My reading was okay. My voice is going, so it's not the best I've ever done. But wow, thank you for letting me share that. Let me see. Oh, cool, Tracy. I'll try to share the cover when I get a chance, okay? I don't know if I'm able to share it during the read. Actually, wait, hold on 1 second. I got an idea. There's the cover for Damn Saint. This is by Tracy Rowe. Hope it's not being blocked by the lighting there, but... Okay, there you go. Okay, so the next book is by Jessica Lucci. Again, she was nice enough to write the little thing at the top about my book, The Hitmom. She's read the whole thing. She's a great friend of mine, great writer. I've got all of her books, I think, pretty much. Oh, no problem, Tracy. Glad to help. So let's go ahead and this book, her book, Tequila Sheila, I actually have on Kindle. I have like 300 books on Kindle, which is why I don't really buy Kindles that often for people anymore, because I just can't keep spending money on things I do most of them I do it just for the library purpose, because I don't have time to actually read a lot of books. And it gets kind of expensive for something that I'm going to read every now and then. So I still buy them occasionally, just not as often as some people might think. Okay, so I'm waiting for it to load. In the meantime, let me go ahead and share the link. And this is called Tequila, Sheila, and Other Tall Tales. I'm just getting it to load here. Come on. Didn't copy. Let's try that again. There we go. Okay, is my Kindle opening yet? Not yet. What the heck, Kindle? There we go. Let me see if I can get that to go here.
So now I gotta. So maybe if I take.
Sorry, it's being a little testy. Okay. Okay, let's see. One moment. Okay, so this is a new chapter. It's called Interstellar Games, and this is a steampunk western They say it's a great book. I've read the whole thing a couple times. It's amazing. Interstellar Games. The Olympians wore masks to keep out the smog of the dragonfire that fueled the factories. Occasionally, embers escaped from furnaces and floated to freedom among the sky rises where people stretched and pulled their muscles in anticipation of the Interstellar Games. All the varied communities from the molten camps along the Meridian Edge competed each summer. It competed each solar summer for glory. Sorry, I'm trying to read it on the other monitor. The more thrilling prize was the chance to visit and perhaps relocate to the exotic planet. Earth had long since been abandoned since the ozone issue of 91. Now it was a wilderness. Wow, I don't know why I can't read this. An existential paradise of what once was and Sorry, I do have a stuttering issue, just so you guys know. I do apologize for this. Sometimes it flares up. Of what once was and what one day could be. Sorry. Beryl Nan and Harriet Yole were the top contenders to the dragon races. Best friends and vigorous competitors since tertiary school, the 40-year-old women were primed to win. Hope I don't have to kill you too quickly, joked Beryl, as she was fitted with the jockey chute that provided escape and disqualification if she chose to eject from her flying beast. Hope I do kill you too quickly, Harriet joked back. There could be only one winner for each contest. Beryl and Harriet had trained for this their entire lives, since they were hatched along with the dragons that were now their partners. They accepted their fate with pride. To live was to experience the future. To die was to become part of the past. Both were honorable outcomes of the Interstellar Games. 1 second. Flags flashed in fluorescent hues across the broad black sky. Names and faces of former interstellars blazed in depictions painted in fireworks. Beyond the brightness, through the smog, the sound of dragons whinnying echoed in the dome stables. Lead-lined walls blocked out spy bots intent on stealing secrets for competitors. In a fight to the death, the dragon drivers swooped and swerved, jutted and jabbed. Then the unthinkable happened. Beryl and Harriet crashed together into the glass dome. The dragons each let out a fiery screech of despair, their injuries so complete as to be deadly. Their heat and the giant wallop of the bang of their bodies against the dome caused it to collapse. Poisonous fog filtered in quickly through the melted crack. Fabric masks were not enough to protect the spectators from gaseous death, which is what I say every time after I've had coffee in the morning, but that's another story. Their bodies twitched uncontrollably as bloody foam spurted from their ears. This was just the opportunity the Earthlings had been waiting for. They appeared for centuries from the Tesla Tower, and were now prepared to redeem what was theirs. They beamed themselves to the quick light years to Olympia and reclaimed their dragons. With a cosmic whoosh, they beamed themselves back. As an afterthought, they took Beryl and Harriet with them. After all, someone had to train the dragons or feed them. And that was that chapter. Wow. Jessica Lucci, I know I've told you this before, but you are one of the preeminent writers of all the friends that I read from. You're always one of my favorites. So talented. I mean, I wish you weren't a New England Patriots fan, but I can forgive that. Go Seahawks, by the way, obviously. Anyways, so that was Tequila Shea. And now we got one more book to read, and this is Marie Andreas, who's one of my favorite authors of all time. She's one of my best author friends. I met her in San Diego, where I used to live, at Mysterious Galaxy Bookstore, which is one of the greatest bookstores of all time. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to give you guys at... Well, it's just MissGalaxy.com. There it is, Mysterious Galaxy. If you guys get a chance, check out that bookstore. They do, they're in San Diego, but even if you're across the country, they do delivery, they do orders, they will order any book for you. They are a great independent bookstore that supports local authors, so I cannot speak enough of them. A lot of the friends that are on my Facebook list that are authors I read from, I've met Mysterious Galaxy as a fellow author during one of their meet and greets, and that includes Marie Andreas, who I've attended several of her events, and I've been at the same events several times. I have many of her books. I'm excited that she was actually drawn from the hat tonight. It was random, but I'm so excited that she was one of them. And she has a new release, which is one that I'm sharing today. Just came out, I think, a couple of weeks ago. And this is called An Intrigue of Pharaohs, an alternative history Victorian gas lamp adventure. And it's the Adventures of Smith and Jones, Book 3. This is another steampunk novel. Marie has a lot of different series to share, to read from. I have book 1 of the series, which I don't have right in front of me, but it is amazing. Book 2 is also amazing. I have not read it too much yet. I don't own it yet, but I will. But look at the cover. Marie always gets the best cover artists to do the covers for. And again, Andreas is probably one of the top 5 authors of any author I've ever read from. I'm not saying she's not number 1. I'm saying she's definitely in the top 5, though. So I have not read from this yet. It's a new release. I don't own it yet, so I'm going to be reading from the sample. Let me just go ahead and pull this up so I can read it. Just to let you know, the other books in the series here are Curious Invasion. That's book 1, which I do have. I have the paperback. I bought it, and I had her sign it because I bought it from her personally. And the Mayhem of Mermaids is book 2, which is also amazing. She's a very prolific author. She has 60, 70 published novels, I believe. And I've yet to read anything of hers that is not freaking amazing. She is an award-winning author, very, very talented, and I can't speak highly enough of her as a friend, someone who I look to as a mentor as well. I've bounced so many questions off her as I've grown as an author regarding covers, ways to write things, how to do things, and she is so, so helpful and yet so unassuming, so down to earth. She is a great author and is in no way smug about it. She is like one of the nicest people on the planet and one of the most talented. So I'm going to stop gushing about her, but she is amazing. She's just a really great friend. Okay, so here we go. An Intrigue of Pharaohs. Chapter 1. Nettie scowled as she narrowed her eyes and held up the 2 options for her apparel for Rebecca's wedding. Both garments were more than suitable. In fact, they were quite lovely. Sadly, her disposition couldn't be said to be similar. It had nothing to do with the impending wedding. Rebecca and Damon fell in love almost upon first sight. Damon had been a butler here in the Society of the Exploration of the Unexplainables, London headquarters. Rebecca worked with Nettie in the coroner's office, until Rebecca's burgeoning clairvoyant skills brought her into the society. Nettie was sincerely happy for her best friend and hoped for nothing but happiness for her and Damon. She put the dresses down on the bed and looked out the window to the gloomy London sky. They left Wales a little over 3 weeks ago, their collective assignments finished. Wales wasn't less gloomy weather-wise than London, but there was a wild beauty there that she found she missed. If I remember right, Wales is kind of a touristy spot. I read that somewhere, so that explains why it is got that wild beauty. She thought that coming back to Gaston's manor with the other agents from the society would make her happy. Mostly growing up in London, being tossed like an unwanted Christmas pudding among various extremely distant family members gave her a fondness for it. Or it did. There were far more agents living here than when she'd first moved in, so that was nice. Rebecca and Damon would be moving out to their own flat after they came back from their honeymoon, but both would be here regularly for work, unless they were out on assignment. Although Damon didn't begin as an agent, he'd started agent training in Wales and was now ready to take his place in fighting criminals and peculiar beings not of the known world. Looking out the window wasn't helping her disposition, until a sandy-haired, brown-eyed American walked out on the grass, talking with Homer. Caden. He might be a contributing force to her current disposition. He was now her fiancé, a change in circumstance that she first welcomed. He was funny, obstinate, wickedly intelligent, overconfident, and quite attractive. She had fallen in love with him in Wales, possibly before that, but she wasn't going to admit it. But the excitement over his proposal and spending her life with him waned as she wasn't sure how to proceed. Mostly watching all the excitement, parties, random events, and whatnot that whirled around Rebecca's wedding greatly disturbed her. She loved Caden. She wanted to marry him. but the events attached to a wedding were frankly too much. She'd never even attended a wedding before this, let alone being swept up in the rigmarole involved. It was completely overwhelming. That was it then. The source of her annoyance was found. As much as she cared for Caden, the marriage simply wouldn't work. She took a deep sigh. She would miss him, and they could still work together, but that was that. She glanced down at her engagement ring. It was a lovely ring, not large and ostentatious. It fit her personality well. So did he. Drat the man. The knock came at the same time as the door opened. Rebecca stuck her head in. Drat who? She bustled over and looked out the window. What has Caden done now? That level of annoyance wouldn't have come from Homer. Homer was a former air pirate, or so he claimed, as well as a part-time secret agent. He was a solid man who appeared that he'd be more at home waving a sword on the deck of a ship. His hair was thick and white, as was his beard. Caden was a few inches over 6 feet, but Homer was taller and bigger. He had a ready laugh and a good heart. Okay, so I'm going to put a stop to that one there because my voice is going and I got to start thinking about making the kids dinner. Thank you guys all for tuning in. That's all 6 books I read from today, 2 or 3 pages each. I will try to do another one soon, probably within the next week. Who knows? Maybe even tomorrow or Sunday. You never know. I can never predict these, but again, it'll be another hat draw a couple hours in advance. Just again, if you're an author and want me to read from your book, just let me know. People I've read from before, I will try to add your name to the hat list. But if you're watching this or see any of my future posts, please let me know just to make sure, because I've had a few authors that, for various reasons, publishing reasons, are asking me not to read their books right now because they want to kind of keep the suspense going, and I respect that, and I don't want to read your book by mistake if you want it on the down low. That does happen. So anyways, thank you guys all for tuning in. Thank you, Tracy, for watching. Again, just message me if you have any questions or any comments or anything you need from me. Again, I'm just going to once again remind you of my book, because I'm selfish, The Hitmom. It is available on paperback and Kindle, and it's been out for about a month and a half. It still only has 5 reviews. I'd love to get it up to that magical number of 50, which I've not done yet in any of my books. Highest I've got is 20. But this is really a fun book for adults. Don't let your kids read it. And, it's none of my business, but I wouldn't recommend it. So please check my book out. Check out the other books that are on this list. I can't say you'll regret it. They're all pretty awesome. And you guys have a great weekend, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye-bye.